The girl at the back of the stage is playing a long, low whistle, her fingers hardly reaching the holes, and the occasional bird squawks emerging further evidence of her unease. The crowd clap along merrily, mostly outsized, out-of-season Germans, delighted to be experiencing this authentic Irish ram jam. The whistle player looks around 12, but she's not the youngest. Beside her is a wee brother, around 10, playing a very quiet burren, and beside him a tiny wee lassie of around 8, who's scraping away on a fiddle. Their 3 elder siblings seem to be taking the musical strain, with guitar, tenor banjo, and a bonny lass on the fiddle. At the side of the stage, a largely unkempt larger lady is surveying her brood with a mixture of pride and veiled threats. Certainly the children don't look happy. I imagine they'd rather be listening to Elvis than falling their way through indeterminable jigs and reels. Still, grey Mama, with her off-white jerkin and straggled hair, divides her gaze equally between her offspring and the braying, applauding, loose-mouthed crowd. I sit at the back with one of the band. I know the venue reasonably well, having passed through here many a time in my youth, and I'm enjoying the whole spectacle. I admire the talent in the elder fiddle player, and wryly smile at the missed notes, slipped beats and resigned scowls on the rest of them. I keep being jostled by an elderly Irish gent with thick grease on his black hair and a big gap between his buck teeth, who's grinning as though he's just discovered Planxty playing in his back tavern. Very good, he says. Very good indeed. And he claps along, woefully out of time. They'll grow up to be something special, he nods. I disagree. Now, I reckon they'll flee the coop as soon as possible and leave the burrens languishing in a cupboard somewhere. Or perhaps a pawn shop, alongside the 1990s beatboxes and £79 Fender-esque Stratocasters. I wish I had been brought up in a musical family like this. That way I may well have rebelled and found myself quite happily working in a bank. Instead, I find myself waiting for the Irish family Robinson to finish their set so I can get on stage and woe the crowd into submission with my tall tales of what never actually happened. They do encore after encore, and I eye my watch happily. This place has an 11 curfew and it's fast approaching 10 now. If I'm lucky, I'll get away with playing for less than an hour. Then I can retreat to the bar again, if we get a lock-in. Over in the corner, I see our accordion player Reuben, slapping his thighs and laughing like a dafty as the elder violin executioner slides on a slip jig and falls off her seat, bringing the crowd to a rapturous applause. They decide to end the set there. Ah well, time to go to work. I walk over and congratulate them all on their fantastic musicianship. The look of resigned fatigue in their eyes matches mine almost completely, and I wonder just how far they've already become to feeling so bullet-holed by this whole music thing. The bar is rapidly emptying, much to my pleasure and dismay. I had hoped somehow that all these tourists were actually here to see me and the band, but of course no. They were drawn in by the fish restaurant next door, and the real live Paddy family entertaining in the snug. I ask for another whiskey and wait until the stage is cleared. Then we move on. Our bass player is standing by the side, ready, with one bottle of wine all done and another just opened. I untangle my inexpensive bag of leads and set up, turning around to see, perhaps 2 or 3 dozen folk who may actually be here to hear us, and half a dozen straggling German tourists, resplendent in bright yellow waterproofs and thick-rimmed glasses. I imagine they think we're a traditional Irish band. After all, guitar, double bass and accordion, we could be. They leave halfway through the first minute, waving as they go, politely. I don't blame them. The rest of the bar is quiet though, listening, which is a good sign. We do a medley of 5 songs. It's a way of battering a crowd into submission, so even if they hate you, they're so pleased you've finally finished they can't help but applaud. I think we get added points for endurance also. Happily, it seems to go down well and my mood lifts slightly. Halfway through the next track, I look at Reuben and he's grinning wildly and lifting his big old boots up and down in approximation of the timing of the song. I think, I'll have to ask him to stop wearing those boots. They're extenuating his personal rhythm choices. But then I realise it's maybe me out of time, as Doogie starts thumping the strings on his double bass aggressively, as if to say, and mind that we're on stage as well, Jamesy, and didn't he just go off playing mental? So I brought it back into place again. A good show though. We had a few requests, including False True Love, which we merged into I Feel Love, such is our outlandish humour. By 11 p.m, it became apparent that there wasn't a curfew as such, and things were just expected to roll on. I was talking nonsense on stage again. The story about my dog eating a rat whole, comparing Doogie to Alison Moyet. The usual drivel. A few of the Germans had come back in and were clapping along merrily. It was fun.